Saturday with a 5 o'clock kickoff. Of course, the winners of tonight's other game between Belgium and Portugal will have a day left to prepare. That's for a trip to Munich and a game against Italy next Friday. So it's over for Frank de Boer's side as the Dutch face checkmate in Budapest. And that's one we weren't expecting, gentlemen. Although you did point out all the Czech, I suppose, positives, but you didn't expect them to win the game 2-0, did you?
No, none of us did. Even, you know, the Dutch are going to talk about the sending off. Even at that point, they had enough quality on the pitch, enough speed, pace, enough threatening that they could have regrouped, gone forward to back, and they could have threatened the Czech, but they folded like it. No, they just folded over. I didn't hear Wijnaldum being mentioned. I didn't hear Depay being mentioned. It was like the game is over now, and the Czechs deservedly won.
These are great scenes, aren't they, if you're a Czech Republic supporter? And they finished just third in the group, so, you know, this format has been getting a fair deal of criticism. But how far can the Czechs go now, do you think?
Well, I think they'll look ahead to the quarter-final against Denmark. And after the performance they gave today, you look at the scenes here, I think just like Denmark, they'll go into the game thinking they've got a really, really good opportunity now to get into the semi-final. They deservedly won. I think the minute of the game, or there was a minute in the second half which really threw everything. The Dutch missed a really good opportunity, and then De Ligt did what he did. I think Duffer said at half-time, you don't want to be the dope that makes the mistake. I think we found out a couple in the Dutch squad in that moment, and then several others as the game went on. But these are great scenes for the Czech Republic players and the staff and the fans. Delighted. Shame they have to go all the way to Baku now. I don't know how many of both of their countries' fans will be there, but that's the way it's going to be.
Damien, I suppose especially after what happened to Christian Eriksen, everyone was hoping that Denmark would regroup and do well, and they have done well. But up against the Czech Republic now?
Yeah, I'll stick with Denmark the whole way through, Tony. People are sick of me harping on about them, but studied them for a couple of years on my pro licence, know them really well. Top team. People wrote them off, obviously, after the first couple of results. But listen, they're a better team than Czech Republic, and I'd fancy them to even go further into the tournament. But today I think it shows the fine margins of this level. Sending off totally swings the game. Set piece, again, small margin, small details, but it's a goal. The game becomes stretched, and all of a sudden it's game over 2-0. It's ironic for me that Dutch fans have been crying out for a back four, obviously 4-3-3. Well, they ended up with a back four, but it was obviously because De Ligt got sent off. Half time I said it would be a moment of magic or a moment of madness, and you'd have to say madness. And just to echo what Richie said there about dope, I hate to disrespect, I guess, a top player event. It's 85 million, and I use the word because it was what Graham Souness used to always say to us at Blackburn Rovers. He would always say about the opposition, go out there and find the dope. Who's going to let them down? And I think it was Bob Paisley, Joe Fagan that said it to him when he was at Liverpool. So the phrase does go back a lot of years, and today, yes, we have found the dope, Matthijs de Ligt. You can even go into the really fine details, you know, shouldn't let the ball bounce, is he wearing the correct footwear, slipping over it, like that's how detailed you go into. But listen, totally swung the game, and he will be absolutely devastated.
As are all the Dutch. But congratulations to Jaroslav Šilavi and all his Czech Republic team. Marvellous achievement for them. Czech Republic are on their way to the ancient city of Baku in Azerbaijan for their quarter-final of Euro 2020 against Denmark. I wasn't even sure if Azerbaijan is in Europe, but or Baku even. That's an interesting turn-up for the books, wasn't it?
Yeah, I think it went against what the three of us would have predicted beforehand. It's the first time the Dutch have been behind in the tournament, and you're waiting to see what the response is, and there was nothing. They collapsed. You know, they're big players to pay. Wijnaldum, you're expecting something from them. Wijnaldum, the captain, just, you know, got his big transfer, and you think he's going to show something. He's been brilliant in the group stage, but they just, you know, the Czechs just got better and better. Push more people forward. You think they're going to drop now. I know they're down to 10 men, the Dutch, but they still had plenty of quality on the pitch where you've seen it many times. 10 men can come out and win a game, but they just lost total fight and spirit, and just it felt like it was over. The minute the send-off happened, you know, it wasn't just the first goal. The minute the send-off happened, they were gone.
We'll come to that in a minute. But Richard, do you think that the Amsterdam home advantage gave us a kind of wrong impression of them beforehand?
Well, I think we're going to start asking those questions of every team that goes out in the knockout stages who impressed us during the group stages. We're going to look back and think, actually, were we too quick to dish out praise in the way that we did. I think we're right to say the question you asked at the very start, Czech Republic, the team they played today, were better than I think any of the teams that Netherlands face in the group stages. And like I said at the start, you're not remembered or particularly praised. You don't set any legacy or leave any legacy in the tournament from what you do in the group stages. So I think that Netherlands team and that manager are going to be very, very heavily criticised when they leave. To answer your question, yes, it's a lot easier to play in front of a home crowd that is fully behind you. You don't have to travel. I think one of the Wales players came out today and spoke very critically about the way in which some teams have to travel, others are at home, and that it takes
Chris
a lot
Gunter,
out of you.
I think it was.
So you're always going to get that in a tournament, particularly one with several hosts. Some will get to play at home, some will play neutral venues, some will play in the venues of their opposition. That's just the format. But this Dutch team today, like when you go down to 10 men, it's difficult, obviously. But you've got to raise your game in every area. Your decision-making, your work rate, your concentration. The margin for error, which is slim enough as it is in the knockout stages, it really comes to nothing then when you're down to 10 men. And there was no real response from the Dutch. There was no...
I remember, Richie, before the first Dutch game against Ukraine, you were actually quite harsh on De Boer anyway. I mean, obviously he hasn't enhanced his reputation by going out in the last 16.
Well, I don't think it was just me, in fairness, that's been harsh. This fella, there's so many people in Dutch football questioning why he was appointed. We know the backstory. Koeman got the team qualified. Koeman went and got a club job. Had this tournament been played a year ago, they would have had Koeman in charge, Van Dijk at centre-half, different story, all what-ifs. But when Koeman left, they had a decision, and they went and got De Boer, whose CV over the last number of years is as poor as you could get for any manager that you would think is in line for a job like that. So they gave it to him. He did many things in the last few months which annoyed people in Dutch football. He did a press conference performance just before the tournament. He got some basic things wrong. He made some false claims. And in addition, he's angered a lot of people by the formation of the team. But it's the performance, actually. You could park all of that, which is a lot to park. But even if you parked all of that, you could look at his team performance today and you just question... They just didn't seem to have a response to being in 10 men. Some teams know what to do. They're very, very compact at the back. They're really, really solid in midfield. And they get the balance between defending in numbers but not recklessly going forward in numbers. And they just get it right. And they look like they've been trained to do it and they're prepared for it and mentally tough enough to deliver on it.
Richard, don't you prepare for going down to 10 men though as well? I mean, surely these are kind of scenarios that they would have gone through as to how to deal with it.
Yeah, you would do, to be fair, Tony. It's a good shout. You would work on different scenarios in the training ground. If you're losing 1-2, 3-0 even, what do you do? And of course, if you go down to 10 men, all managers have different ways of dealing with it. You know, I've had managers where they go 4-3-2, which is more aggressive. You can play more counter-attacking football because you have two strikers. You can press a bit more aggressively. But you're obviously a man down further back the pitch. So he's obviously gone with 4-4-1 today. Didn't really create anything after it. So listen, each their own. That's managers' jobs. That's why they get paid the big bucks.
But is there a lot of emotion in that decision in the heat of the moment, literally?
No. Like that would be set in stone. I've been lucky enough to work with a few top managers. Brendan Rodgers at Celtic, he'd have something set in stone. 10 men, this is what we do. So whether Frank de Boer has that, I don't know. I can't question that. But the top managers in the world, i.e. Brendan, like I've just mentioned, would have, yes, scenario, down to 10 men, this is what we do, and all the lads would be tuned into it.
So do you think, Tony, in their instance, it was pretty simple. They have pace up front, get everyone behind the ball and look to counter-attack. You go to 10 men from 8, 9 years of age, you know how to play against 11 men if you go down to 10 men. Depending on the situation of the game, it was 0-0 there, so you sit back, you soak it up and you break with the pace they had in the team. Showed it just before they got the send-off. Malin, fantastic pace, they could have used that. But they just kept going as if it was normal, 11v11. They were wide open for both goals, and it was, I don't know if you blame the manager there, the players. They're on the pitch, get together, let's come on. Manager's on the touchline, 60th minute, whatever. He can't really get his message on. Maybe the players get together, come on, get in tight, we'll break, we'll still win this game. We still have fantastic players. We're a better team than Czech. Up to that point in the game they were, and to me it's just a complete collapse of organisation on the pitch. Players, belief, desire. They were kicking it away, losing it in corner flags. Even to the very end, just booting it into the stand. It was, I'd be more. The manager was, up to that stage, he was getting praise from everyone. They'd won their games easily. I'd be looking more at the players in that game and how they responded to.
Because Wijnaldum, for example, the captain of the team, and as the lads were saying, we hardly heard of him in the second half.
Yeah, and obviously he was really good up to that point, but that's where your captain, the likes of Kjær, Denmark, fantastic when the chips are down. We needed Wijnaldum tonight. He just wasn't there, but then you could say the same about Depay. Fantastic player all season, fantastic for him so far in the tournament. Wasn't seen when he was needed tonight.
This whole game, though, turned in a very short period of time when, as you say, the Dutch could easily have taken the lead.
Yeah, it was a point in the game when they were on top early in the second half. Lovely play, Depay, flick. Malin showed why he was in the team. Paced, Byrne, fantastic. And in fairness, he does a little shuffle. I would give more credit here. Vaklik in goal, reads it, commits to reading it. You see keepers buckle and fold in this situation, or take him down. He doesn't, he reads it, keeps his eye on the ball, and fantastic. And this was 26 seconds later. Sukal with the ball forward. Nothing wrong with that ball. People would turn their nose up at that ball sometimes, but it turns De Ligt inside out. He doesn't know what way he's going. He's falling, he's slipping, stumbling. And then in real time, it looks more a handball.
Did he get a push from Schick there?
No, he's the one stumbling in front of him. Schick is just trying to get on the ball. But that's a red card. There was no argument about that from anyone. I think it was an obvious one. It was, Schick, in fairness to him, he pressed him, he caused him trouble. De Ligt wouldn't be used to dealing with, I don't call it a long ball. It was a pass forward, a good pass forward. Got him turned when they were under a bit of pressure. And you can have no arguments with that red card.
That's your job as a striker, isn't it? You just make a nuisance of yourself. You put the defender under pressure on the off chance that there's a little bit of hesitation, only the slightest moment, or someone losing their footing. And in that case, De Ligt did both. Hesitated and lost his foot.
De Ligt is the first Dutch player, I do like a stat, the first Dutch player to receive a red card in a European Championship game since John Heitinga in 2004. He also got sent off against the Czech Republic, and the Netherlands have been shown 4 red cards at the Euros, 2 coming against Czechoslovakia in 1976 and 2 against the Czech Republic, 1 in 2004 and today. It's extraordinary, really, isn't it?
Yeah, I spoke beforehand about the Czechs' record against the Dutch in European competition. The Dutch only won 1 in 10, which is hard to believe. It's 1 in 11 now. And fair dues to the Czechs. They proved nearly everyone wrong and put on a really good performance.
Let's look at the Czechs' goal and give them the credit they deserve then, Richie.
Yeah, we'll give them credit, but they have to talk about the Dutch players' role in this. But I spoke a moment ago about just making the right decisions and not taking chances and just doing the basics right. Van Aanholt here has the ball. He's defending his own corner area there, and first of all, to lose the ball in that position is sloppy. Then to give away the free kick, it's just lazy. He just kind of cheats, and then kicks the ball away. But then defending as a group, they decide that they're defending zonally, so they're not taking responsibility to pick up a man at all. And then the back stick, Hulish there is totally unmarked. No one's keeping an eye on him, and he scores. But even the first header here, Kalash here, Wijnaldum just doesn't, kind of all over the place, doesn't attempt to win the ball himself, maybe tries to put off Kalash from winning it, gets it all wrong. Hulish isn't picked up, so a collection of errors from the Dutch defence there.
And the other Czech goal then, Damien, your thoughts on this one?
Another awful goal to give away, you'd have to say. It was from nothing, Tony. Obviously a long ball. If De Ligt's on the pitch, an extra man in the back line, do they deal with this better? Wijnaldum going for the ball, Dumfries jumping out when they don't really have the ball here. You can see, listen, he's had a wonderful tournament. He's really attacking minded fullback, and you can obviously see it here. He's jumping, leaves a big massive hole when they don't actually have the ball under control. But brilliant from Hollis, brilliant from Schick, Blint obviously slow to get across. It's never been a strength in this game for me defending, and top class from Schick. His 4th goal in the tournament. And I know he's had a couple of big moves already, and I'm sure he'll have plenty more suitors after this tournament. But another poor goal, Tony. And like I said, it just all has a knock-on effect from the sending off of Matthijs de Ligt.
Another stat for you, Schick has scored 15 goals in 30 appearances for the Czech Republic. Only Milan Baric has scored more goals at a major tournament than Schick, 5-4. But Schick is still in this tournament. He could have more goals in him as this Euro 2020 develops.
Yeah, very well. Listen, and that's an unbelievable goal as well. He obviously has 4, one's a penalty, 2 absolutely ridiculous, outstanding goals against Scotland. But even that is timing, just delaying his run, coming across the front of Blint. It's top class, and I don't think he's scored an awful lot of goals. It's maybe 1 in 3 scoring at club level, but he's gone for €70 million odds of money so far, and the goals he scored this tournament, and even his all-round performances, his build-up play, leading the line, he's been brilliant. So I'm Sure, he might have another couple of big moves in the locker.
Because this is a big shop window, really, isn't it? And it'll probably add a few knots to his price tag.
Yeah, see, previous Czech players have used this tournament as a springboard to greater things. In fairness, he's had his big moves. It's not like he's been a 40-something million pound player to Roma from Sampdoria and then 25 million. So, you know, maybe we're thinking big moves as big moves to England, but he's already has his fantastic moves. He's playing in the Bundesliga. What more do we want?
There were other chances for the Czechs, of course.
Yeah, no, they had, you know, they started to grow into the second half. You sort of just got the sense that the Dutch were starting to lose belief. This was Barak should have done better there. The Fries gets a good block in. He tries to guide it into the far corner. You know, he just hits it straight down the middle in the end. This is just how many numbers the Czech had forward. I thought they'd drop way back in the second half and lose energy. They didn't. Stekelenburg starting to show the way it was going for the Dutch, and this is, for me, one of their best players, Souček, in the tournament so far. Gets turned here, gets loads of, you know, all the time in the world. No one coming out, no Dutch player thinking I'll go have a, this lad scores goals from midfield. Decent strike. We're always saving it. But yeah, that was the second half, as in how the Czechs kept getting forward and the Dutch didn't know how to deal with it.
So now we have the quarter-final in Baku. Are you of the opinion as well that Denmark are better than them?
Yeah, I've done 2 of the Danish games now, and speaking of last night's game and going through their starting 11 is really, really strong. I don't want to write off the Czechs, and they've been very good tonight, but I just think seeing the Danes play, I know they got bet by Belgium, but seeing them that game, how good they were at times, how good they were against Russia, how good they were last night, and they just have a momentum and a belief and fantastic quality on the end of it. I just think they'll have a bit too much for the Czechs.
Richie, they seem to have a great team ethic, the Czechs. I mean, those celebration pictures afterwards were quite colourful, quite moving.
Yeah, I think you would expect to see those kind of scenes after a win of the magnitude of today at this stage of the tournament. I mean, they've done well in their group. They came through with a group with Croatia and England, and they looked reasonably defensively solid there. And I think you could say that of them again today. They were gifted by the sending off. They were gifted further by a kind of collapse in response by the Dutch team, but they'll go into that quarter-final pretty confident. I'm going to give up making predictions. Yesterday I thought Wales and Denmark would go to extra time. I thought Italy last night would be a routine win, and I thought Netherlands would win today, so I'm going to shut my mouth from now on.
That's why we love football. Damien, the fact that they've got all this moving to do, though, I mean, they've been in the UK, Budapest today, Baku next. It's a crazy format. I hope we'll never have it again. I know some countries have co-hosted in the past, but you know, is it fair in your view?
There's a couple of ways of looking at it. Like, I thought it was wonderful. Yeah, it gives many cities around Dublin. We would have benefited. So you would have brought top-class football, amazing atmosphere to many cities around Europe. But then on the flip side, when you see Chris Gunter today,
England and Germany next Tuesday would have been in Dublin.
But Chris Gunter has a very valid point today. Wales have travelled 5,000 miles in the past couple of weeks, so that side of it is madness. But yeah, England obviously still have to get through against Germany. Our dear friends, the English fans, they'll be getting really carried away now. A big footballing nation, Holland go out, so they'll just see a clear route to the final, their first trophy since '66. They'll be getting really carried away, but firstly you have to beat Germany, and then obviously Denmark or Czech Republic, and like I said, Denmark are a top team.
Tony.
It is the easy side of the draw, though, isn't it?
Yeah, I've gone back. I've no sympathy for the players. They're going, like, you're brought on your private jet and you don't queue in airports. It's a totally different world. You're flown to a hotel. You have masseuses. You have everything. I don't buy that excuse. I've loved it going around the different cities. I was against it to begin with, but seeing how it's gone, I've loved it. And the players, listen, if you want to have excuses, you'll have excuses, and you blame everything else about your performance. But how they're looked after and how you travel is top class. So
we had a private jet and masseuses and top everything in 2012. So
yeah,
I don't know what.
We just didn't have top
how were you
players.
for sleeping on? How were you for sleeping on aircraft?
Well, there was usually plenty of fans around the hotel and everywhere we went. It was like Napa everywhere we went. So I'm not sure who booked them, but that's for another day.
I think the format when it was decided, whatever about the rights and wrongs of some players or teams having to travel more than others, some having home advantage, I think one of the selling points potentially was that it would bring top-level football to cities, and all the locals would get involved. And there'd be really a varied atmosphere in all the cities, because every country is slightly different culture, and they bring so much colour and variety to the thing. Obviously, the pandemic hit. So we're now watching games that are played in stadiums which don't have fans of one or maybe both teams, and they're nowhere near full. So that's kind of damp